Again, this is Rolam Live. I am Rolam. That's Morgan Bullock. Bullock. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Block, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So again, how you doing today, Morgan? You good?
I'm great. Hanging in there.
Yes,
Life
yes.
is
So,
good.
huh?
I said life is good. Happy to be here.
For sure. Thank you for coming. This is a show, a space where we talk about creativity, we talk about culture, we talk about connection. And I'm just happy to have Morgan here today because Morgan is, we spend a lot of time debating and I
It's
wouldn't
like
say,
our favorite thing to do.
yeah, I mean, we don't like argue, but we, like if you want like a really thought provoking perspective, Morgan is the person to go to. Like
Thank you. I
she is,
appreciate that.
she is the one. She's
I
the.
appreciate that. I pride myself on that actually.
I know you do. I know you. So yeah, so today we're going to talk about creativity. We're going to talk about her work and her life. But before we do that, one of the first things that I love to talk about is what's inspiring us. So, Morgan, what's inspiring you right now? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What's really getting the creative spark going for you right now?
Yeah. Good question. Thank you. Um, I recently posted that I was listening to The Creative Act by Rick Rubin on Audible, and it has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed. I like the way that Rick Rubin thinks. He writes, and I've enjoyed his narration on Audible, and it has made me look at things from a thought provoking perspective. Um, and I would say myself, I've been so consistent with my meditation and setting my intentions and doing just some practices in the morning that have really helped me to uncover some things that you know um, I wasn't uncovering before, and it has forced me to be very present, which is
Mm,
a big inspiration when we're present with ourselves.
yeah, 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 for sure. What are some of those practices you've been doing?
So I love to do one. I'm going to listen to the Daily Calm, and
Okay.
then two, I um I outside of journaling at the end of the day, by the time I wake up in the morning, I always do this practice called leaving, loving, and longing.
Mm,
So every day I write down, like, what am I leaving? What do I want to leave behind? What am I loving about my life? And what am I longing for? Oftentimes, when I really dig deep in like what I'm leaving, I uncover so much, right?
right.
Um, because it's so easy for me to think about the things that I want, but rarely do I think about the things that I would like to release.
Hmm, hmm.
So yeah, that's been very inspiring for me, to get to the root of some things that might hinder me or be obstacles in my life. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. That's great. Um, so the first question that I wanted to ask you, well, I guess I'll tell you what's been inspiring me.
Yeah.
Um, so I usually read a lot, but recently I've been reading a lot more. And it's been like over the past like 6 days, I've probably read like 4 books.
Wow.
And all of these books have been like in different genres. And
Okay.
I usually read a lot of science fiction, a lot of like fantasy, but I've been reading more like contemporary, more like literary fiction. And it's
Mm,
just really been broadening my perspective on what can be done in writing. You
mm,
read the same things over and over again, and you can sort of get stuck in this rut of like
mm.
the rule system, right? This is
Yeah.
how you tell a story,
Yeah.
how you write a book, but then you read something else that breaks all of those rules, but it still works.
Yeah.
And so it's just been inspiring me to just sort of throw the rules out, right?
Yeah.
And play. And then secondly, I was at the library and I just happened to see that they were doing a screenwriting workshop. And I was able to go to this screenwriting workshop and meet some writers and just hang out with people. And it's always inspiring to hang out around other creatives, but especially around other writers.
Mhm.
And I love that. Like when I find out somebody's writing, I'm like, hey, let's link.
Mhm.
that was a really good experience, and they have probably 3 more sessions left, and so I'll go next week again. So
Dope.
that was really inspiring. Um, you know what? Let me plug my laptop up before we have another little situation on our hands.
Mhm. Listen,
But while I do this, let me ask you this: how do you define creativity?
I don't.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Say more. Say more.
Ah, I think that creativity is literally found everywhere and in everything
Mm-hmm.
all at once. No, but um yeah, like I to define it would be putting parameters on it. I feel like um I just see creativity just literally in everything. And anything that um in everything. I was about to say in everything that people do, but then I'm like, no, I've seen dogs be creative. I've seen animals create. I've
Yeah.
seen birds make nests. I've seen spiders make webs. I've seen um everything be creative. So I don't it's hard for me to put a definition on creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll throw this on the table.
Okay.
For me, I think there's like layers and levels to it, right? But I think I have a very practical way of looking at creativity. And I think what creativity is, it's the ability to solve problems. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about seeing somebody be creative, most times what they're doing to be creative is a new way of accomplishing something. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, I remember like I saw a video of it was like a chimpanzee. He was like trying to get into like a melon or something, and he couldn't get into it, and he saw like a rock or something. He picked up the rock and he started banging on it.
Right.
Yeah, that's creativity, right? He's
Yeah.
thinking outside the box, trying to figure out how do I get into this melon without destroying the entire melon.
Right.
And so I think when I think about writing or I think about anything creative, it's all right, how do I get from here to there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would agree with that. I can see that. Um I can see that. And to your point about layers, like, yes, I do think that creativity lies within solving a problem. And perhaps things like art or dance or entertainment, that's not, I guess, the problem that's being solved is the lack of beauty or entertainment, right? Like,
Right. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the problem that's being solved is for a painter, right? How do I make these colors look like a person? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make
I mean, I'm thinking about a painter. I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of like an abstract, right?
right,
Or
right,
like,
right,
or like one of those dancers that the dancers with the ribbons. I'm like, what problems are we solving with that?
right,
But same with sport. You're not solving any problems. You're just providing entertainment. And maybe the problem itself would be if we don't have beautiful things, if we don't have sport, if we don't have anything to interest us, then what would be the point, right?
And
Like,
what's interesting about that too is um that makes me think about the UFC. And the reason why I think about the UFC is because when COVID happened, there was no sports
yeah,
on TV. Like basketball was shut down, everything was shut down.
yeah,
And the president of the UFC, Dana White, was like, "We're not shutting down." And so every weekend it was a fight on. It was a fight every single weekend.
yeah,
And for me, I was just like, man, like there's nothing else to do but watch the UFC. Like, so it's a very small, like first world
yeah,
problem, but it
right.
was doing something for me. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, my
But
ear keeps falling out, but I'm listening.
you're fine. You're fine. So I just think that's interesting.
That
But
is interesting.
I like the answer you gave when you said I don't put a definition on it because I think there's a level of you really can't define it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Morgan is an elite athlete, right? She played softball at Florida State University, right?
Yes. Go North.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So my question for you is, what lessons did you take from being an elite athlete that you crossed over into your creative life?
I'll be honest. I what I crossed over wasn't necessarily good for my creative life.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
because like I said, like I can't really put a definition on creativity,
Mm,
but playing within the parameters of a game, I then felt like I needed to put parameters on my creativity. I needed to have I needed to have accomplishments. I needed to be better than, right? Because I'm still taking that very my sports mindset to something that is very fluid and is not a competition. Um, so I would say recently, again, doing that self work, I'm recognizing like, yo, the best time that I had in sport was when I accepted where I was, right? And played my game regardless of what anybody else was doing.
right.
Um, because that's when I was the most successful.
Mhm.
And being very loose with it, right? Like not trying to be anything other than what my muscle memory is, what
Right.
I have within me, what I know how to do. And so I've been putting that into practice instead of the entire aspect of sport and competition,
Mhm.
like I have been doing previously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How has motherhood impacted your creativity?
Oof. How has motherhood impacted everything? No, it. um, I and Rick Rubin talks about this in his book, uh, but I have, and I've heard parents say this before. But once you have a kid and you're able to see, like, wow, I'm seeing life with a new set of eyes, right?
Hold
I'm
on, let me
seeing.
stop right there. Let me stop right there. You said you've heard who say this before?
I've heard other parents say, like,
Oh,
I feel
other
like,
parents, nobody specifically.
huh?
Nobody specifically has said this to you.
No, no, I have had
Like
someone
myself,
specifically.
I didn't tell you this.
You said this? Okay, then I've had multiple parents say this. If
Okay.
you said this, you.
So background. Before you had your first baby, I was like, when you have your child, like, things are gonna like life is gonna look different for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're gonna start
yeah.
seeing things, and you were like, no way. There's no way. I'm like, yeah.
I don't remember this conversation. Me saying no way.
What? We had
But
like
I
a
can totally understand. Now, I might have said no way to because I didn't want to accept like my whole life is going to change. I
okay.
wanted to believe like, no, I still got some control of things. And we do still have some control of things.
True, true.
But the idea or the understanding of like you are going to see life from this different perspective or
Mhm.
like with the perspective of like having experienced life but being excited for someone to experience the things for the first time.
Wow.
um that's what I'm talking. I didn't say no to that.
Okay.
Did I I
Okay.
thought okay, well
But
if
no,
I did I
continue.
apologize, that was not my intent. I feel like I would have said, "Oh, that's beautiful." Because the other person who said there was another dad that we're friends with, Marty and I are friends with, who had said the exact same thing, and I was like, "Wow, yeah, I guess that makes sense."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's really what it is
Mhm.
me just watching this human experience things that I've experienced, but I just have this deep curiosity
Yeah.
to see how she experiences them and how it affects her.
Yeah.
Um, And in turn, recognizing that my mom has been doing the same thing with me,
Mm,
right? And she's having another experience of like, wow, I'm so curious to see how my daughter is going to parent,
right,
right? Like this is so fun to watch.
right.
So yeah, that's really sparked my creativity to say, huh, look at how Maven is handling life. Look at how Maven is getting over her emotions. She might have some, but how is she approaching things? Um, and how does that impact how I approach things? Maybe I should adopt some of her naive um, and blissful way of looking at life.
Yeah, yeah. Are there ways that you're fostering creativity in her? Like, have you started doing things like that with her yet?
I mean, we color.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We color. I constantly am asking her questions just to like, how's your mind working? Is your mind working? Can it work this way? She's 21 months.
Okay, okay.
She'll be 2 in October.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
So, giving her autonomy,
Mm,
right? Like, do you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? No? Okay. Well, let me find something else. Like, she's a human. And
mm,
I just want her to recognize that she has autonomy over things. And so I try to give her that as much as I can.
yeah,
Um, Allow her to do what she wants on the color, like with color, with crayons and with other things and with anything. Giving her the opportunity to choose. I
yeah,
think it sparks creativity. It opens the door for her to choose anything that she wants.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think that's one of the hardest things about parenting is like when you say like they're like the kids, they're humans, right? Like they have autonomy. And I was raised, I didn't have no autonomy. Like
Mm-hmm.
you go what's put in front of you.
Right.
Like you don't just do what you want to do. You don't pay no bills around here.
Yeah.
And there's this balance of like, yes, there are times when I gotta tell you no. Like you
For
can't
sure.
do what you
Every
want to do all the time. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
For
But,
sure.
but it's like finding those moments where you can say, okay, you choose. You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
is a safe place where you can decide, like, boom, you can do what you want.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find that balance, especially you just want, for me at least, I got 4 boys. So it's like sometimes I just want y'all to be quiet. I just want y'all to sit down and they want to play and they want to
Right.
wrestle and they want to, so it's just
And
finding
how old are they now?
whew, okay, so my oldest trio is 9. He'll be 10 next.
Okay.
And then this is a whole ordeal. What you just asked me, this is a whole I gotta do math. Okay.
Okay.
So so he'll be 10. My second Kingston is 8. Yeah, he's 8. Zion is 6.
Okay.
And Austin is 3, about to be 4.
Okay.
I think I got them all right. I think I got them all right.
Here's my thing. Kudos to you because as Maven grows, it's like every day she gets more energy, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah, yeah. But it's more energy, but it's also more personality. Like the crazy
Yes,
thing is watching them become who
themselves.
they are. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of it's like a mirror. It's weird. It's like a miracle. It's like why aren't all of y'all the same? Like y'all all being raised by the same people. You growing
Mm-hmm.
up in the same house. Like, but all y'all are so different.
Mm.
Growing into who you are. It's just so. And then they're saying things that we didn't teach them because now they're going to school and they're making friends, and so they're coming
Mm-hmm.
back with different sayings, and it's just like, yo, this is crazy and this is scary.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is really scary. Whew. Yeah, it's heavy. It's a lot.
Parenthood is a lot, but
It is. It is.
anyway,
It's beautiful though. It's
it
beautiful.
is absolutely beautiful.
Um, the next thing I wanted to ask you about was a post that you made on Instagram
Okay.
talking about the ridiculousness of seeking validation.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I feel like it's self-explanatory. Um, going back to the creativity question, uh, if I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, it's hard for me to put parameters on it. Um, but even if we put your parameters of like, or your definition of solving a problem, if you've solved a problem within yourself, right? Who cares, and why do we need the validation of others to validate the fact that you've done it, right? If you're who is your creativity for? you
Mm-hmm.
know um what is your creativity for? And if it's for something else, then and someone else, then I question how creative it is, right? Because I can do a job
Yeah.
for someone else, but if I'm just being myself and I'm doing something that edifies me, that is enough.
Yeah.
Took me a minute to get there, though. Again, that sports mindset of, but a win is a win, and everybody needs to know that I've won,
Right.
right? And I've got to win by these rules, and no one can deny the winner.
Yeah.
um, but to now get to a place of like, I am the determiner of how much I win,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, then literally no one else matters.
Yeah. Yeah. But how did you get to that place? Because we live in a world where I feel like everything is geared towards us not getting to that place, right?
Mhm.
We live in a world where seeking external validation is like a part of living life. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so
yeah.
what were some practical things that you did to get you to that place?
I think it started with me hitting rock bottom with seeking validation
Yeah.
and thinking that I was doing things that other people would be proud of. And maybe they were. And I did get the applause. But then I was like, but I'm not full.
Right.
I feel empty. So what good is your applause if I'm consistently empty?
Right.
What good is meeting up to these standards if they're not my standards? That's why so many people, again, something Rick Rubin says, go read the book.
I got to. I have to.
But it's like there's so many artists and people who get to this level of success thinking that reaching this level will fill the void, and then they're still sad, and
Yeah.
they're still miserable, and then they fall deep into this depression because they're doing it for everyone but themselves.
Yeah.
And so I got to a point where I was like, yo, okay, I've done that. I've gone down door number 1 of doing it for everybody else. What does door number 2 look like? Because y'all, I don't have to sleep with y'all at night, right? It's always me. When I get to my deathbed, y'all ain't gonna be there.
Right.
It's me.
Right.
And in this one life, what is it that edifies me? What is it that fulfills me? Because I can't keep feeling like this.
Yeah.
And so, really defining what it is that I think everyone wanted and what I initially thought was going to make everyone happy was important.
Yeah.
Um, but it was also then to come back and say, okay, so while that would make others happy, what would make me happy?
Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody else says. Um, and digging deep to understand my foundation and then building upon that
Right.
and the vision for myself upon that.
Right. Right. Before this, I was actually in a meeting with some of my homies, and we were talking about like goals and where we want to get to. And one of my boys said, it would be cool to get in these different rooms and be invited to these different places, but I don't want to be in those places and then not be able to look myself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was so like, I'm like really sitting with that, because we can really do that, where we can find ourselves in places that we wanted to be. And then once we get there, it's like we don't even like the person that we became to get there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that came back to me as you were talking about that.
Yeah. I think I sometimes it's easy to think about that and to worry about that because yeah, I don't want to be in any rooms that make me feel like not cool with myself.
Yeah.
Um, but I've really had to shift my belief system to recognize like, yo, I can attract the room that I want to be in, you know,
Ooh, talk to
and
him.
and attract the people that I want to be around. Like me having this certain level of energy or being who I authentically am is going to only bring around the people who are meant to be around me and repel those who are not. Right. And so now I'm no longer looking at rooms thinking that I'm missing out.
Yeah,
Right. Because I'm only in the rooms that I'm meant to be in.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Man, that's great. Um, so can you talk about Sportswomen? Is
Sure.
it Sportswomen like Inc? What's it called?
No, sportswoman.
Boom, that's it. Okay.
That's it.
Sportswomen, that's it. All right, bet.
I mean,
Talk
it's an
about that.
LLC, but I
Oh,
like to say it what it is.
okay, bet. Sportswomen.
Sportswoman.
Yeah, talk about that.
Sportswoman. Sports Sportswoman is a community that's helping female athletes connect beyond the game
Yeah,
through community activities, through job opportunities, right, and placing people with where they're meant to go, and really helping female athletes, retired or active, define their self identity
yeah.
in a team atmosphere that we're used to.
Mm,
We grow up our entire lives playing sports. And then when you're done, you're like left without a team. Been on a team my entire life. And now I'm like, yo, I'm supposed to do this alone?
right, right.
No, life is not meant to be done alone, just like sports aren't meant to be done alone. And yeah, I'm building that community, or we're building that community to ensure that there's a place and space for female athletes.
So what inspired you to want to create this space or this community?
Myself.
Mhm.
No, I mean, outside of myself, just recognizing, you know what, actually, going back to what I had just said about attracting people.
Right.
And for a minute, I had been coaching. I've gotten my coaching certification. And I had been speaking on Instagram, and I realized, like, wow, I always naturally go back to sport analogies that a lot of women are not understanding. But when I talk to another athlete, when I talk to a fellow teammate, they're like, yo, I get it. That makes so much sense.
Right.
And knowing the struggle of like self identity after sport, I'm just like, why is there not a space for us? This is a huge, huge market
Yeah.
um, of women who have had a different experience than others,
Right.
and I want that team atmosphere fear to continue on for forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you mentioned how when you walked away, not walked away, but when you stopped playing sports, you like looked around like, am I supposed to do this by myself? Right.
yeah.
Can you talk more about what that journey has been like coming out of sports and then having to figure out life after sports?
Mm. I think initially I naturally was looking for people to latch onto,
Hmm.
right? Um, I mean, I had gotten married right out of college, and I saw it as like, okay, this is a team. I'm still a part of something,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I have something, even though this isn't a sturdy something. I got something, and
Right.
then I'm like, okay. Actually, I kind of went into this very like deep hole of loneliness where I was just like, I really don't know where to go or how to go or what I'm doing. And then when I got out of that, I was just like looking for a place, right?
Right.
And looking and hanging with different groups of friends or acquaintances, and never really feeling as though I fit.
Mm.
Um, Realizing that, and that's not to say like I have to think everyone needs to think like me. Um, no, it's actually, I don't want that. But I realized, like, okay, our perspective and our view on life is starkly different. The way that we handle adversity, the way that we handle discourse, the way that we like. I think our discourse and our discussions or our debates are great because we have had some semblance of a sports background, right? So there's a level of respect that is there when when we're speaking to each other, that I don't always see with people who haven't played sports. And that's not, I'm not generalizing. There's plenty of people who have emotional control, but
For sure.
others who don't.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I started to recognize that. And again, getting back to like, okay, let me get back to Morgan. Who am I attracting? And I found myself attracting old teammates,
Mm.
old friends, and even it's been very very soft launch of Sportswomen. We're getting to a harder launch. However, even in the past, I don't know, month or two, I've had so many more conversations with women that I've played sports with, or connections with people who have played sports, and I'm like, yo, again, I'm attracting a tribe of people that effortlessly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think that journey has been like me seeking to me receiving.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it sort of connects to that seeking validation, that
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be a
A
part of
part.
it, wanting to be accepted. I be
Yeah.
feeling that. I still feel that. Like I love being a part of some. That's why it took me so long to, I published a comic book, and
Yeah.
it took me a long time to get to a place to do it by myself, because for a long time I was looking for, hey, can I be a part of your team? Hey, can I be a part of your group? Hey, and it wasn't that, I wanted them to do the work for me, but it was just that I just wanted to be surrounded by the team, by the guys. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and now you go back to the attracting that group. Now I have a group of guys who, after I started moving and making moves and doing what I was doing, they invited me into the crew. They said, "Hey, we working on this. You want to rock with us?"
Yeah.
It's like you said, like I wasn't seeking that external validation, but I began to attract the people that could help me and that I needed
Was
around.
it for you?
Us.
Yeah.
So
And do you like this group that you've attracted more than the group that you, I don't know if this was the same group of people, but like, what is the difference between this group that you've now attracted to you and the groups that you were trying to infiltrate or be a part of before?
yeah, I think the difference is, when I was trying to, and I actually haven't thought about this is my first time thinking about this, but I think the difference is that when I was trying to be a part of somebody's crew, I was I was trying to fit into what they had going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when I started to move by myself, the invite came based on an alignment
Mm-hmm.
of what they could see me already doing.
Yeah.
And so now it's not a question of how do I shift and adjust to be a part of what you're doing. Now it's just this, you see who I am because this is the work that I've been doing. You see who I am. And so now it's just a question of, do we align?
Right.
Because my responsibility is to stay true. Like we said before, I don't want to be in a room and then not be able to look myself in the mirror. So my
Yeah.
responsibility is to stay true to my path and what I'm trying to do,
Yeah.
and make sure that aligns with whoever I'm connecting with. So I think that's the difference. There was a lot of
Yeah.
people that we wasn't really aligned, but I was trying to force
Make it work.
a
Yeah.
peg into a square, square hole. So
Yeah.
that would be my analysis. I need to sit with that too. Thank you for asking me that question. That was great.
I
Um,
ask myself that a lot because
yeah,
I've been through different. Anyway. Yeah.
yeah. No, I love it. I love it. So going back to Sportswomen, you mentioned the soft launch, very soft launch. What's been the most challenging part of getting this community started?
Myself, child.
That's the answer for the day, huh?
Nah. And I'm getting over this hurdle. And I thank you for all the questions that you've asked me. I am entering back into this world of this is how we win. right,
Mm-hmm.
of sport. Trying to bring a new creative space. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, how do I balance this? Um, and how do I overcome these hurdles of wanting it to be perfect, wanting to make sure that I win, wanting to make sure that this is a winner,
Yeah.
and just and then the other side of just like go play the game,
Yeah. Yeah.
go play.
Yeah.
And so, because you can't win nothing if you're not playing.
Right. Right. Right.
Right? You can sit back and strategize, and games will be played all around you, and you're not winning anything. You're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's it. I think I've been in practice and training mode, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's time to like enter the tournament,
Yeah.
play the game.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really the basis of it. It's not that because realistically, like as I talk about it, it's not that I wouldn't have I don't have athletes who are like, I love this. I want this. This is great. There's plenty of people who would be eager to join. It's just a matter of giving them a thing to join, a game to play.
Yeah.
I'm playing the game myself. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you feel that, is it an apprehension that you feel like it's not like perfect? You feel like, when
Mm-hmm.
you feel that,
Mm-hmm.
what is the process that you go through to overcome that?
Hmm.
And the reason why I ask this question is just because I love to hear how people have developed like mental processes for overcoming their blocks, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would tell myself, I'm gonna tell you what I tell all of my female athlete clients, right? Because I'll talk to them about them in the game, and it's so easy for me to see it with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Of course it is. Always like that.
and it's easy because I've mastered the game. I'm playing a different game,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
But also not really. Um,
Ooh, talk about it.
Also not really. I think it's just what I would tell someone who's overthinking approaching the plate and they're striking out and they're not producing is like you're thinking about too many things when you're up to bat. When
Mm-hmm.
all you got to do is see ball, hit ball, right? All you got to do is swing the bat.
Yeah.
Um, and so my mantra, my senior year, so I encourage people to have a mantra, and figure out what your mantra is
Yeah.
so that you can say it to yourself, and that automatically gets you to stop thinking about everything and just go. Yeah, my mantra has been DGAF, or don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when I DGAF my way through things,
Mm.
it works out. It's great. I
Yeah.
stop giving a fuck about everything else and all the things that I think could happen. And then because of that, I then am able to produce things that I couldn't have thought of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And not only that, I think when I think back to that season or my final season and how well I did and how gaff I was, just not giving any fucks, it was just like, I really didn't even care about the outcome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just like, fuck it. If I strike out, I strike out.
Yeah.
End it. If I have the worst batting average on the team, then I have the worst batting average on the team. And that mindset got me the best batting average on the team and the most consistent. I was one of the most consistent players because I stopped caring. I
Yeah.
stopped I stopped caring. I mean, I cared about winning. I always want to win, but
For sure. Yeah.
but not to the point where I was so tense, where I was overthinking, where I couldn't do, or I was in this analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing about not giving a fuck is that, of course, you always want to win, right? But at the same time, it's like, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna leave it all on the court or the field or what you call it in softball? The,
A field.
the field. You're gonna leave it all on the field,
Yeah.
and whatever happens, happens. I,
Mhm.
I don't know who I heard say this, but they were talking about a game that they lost, and they said, "I left everything out there. I'm okay with the result
So
because
true.
I gave my best. That's all I
That's
can do."
that's so true. I've never been upset with myself if I gave everything that I could and we lost. Now I might be upset with somebody else because I played a team sport, but
I'm good with me, but y'all, I don't know.
I did my job. No, but no. Like if we played a team, there was this one girl. Who that girl was good. She was so good. And when I played her, I was like, "Yo, I struck out
Yeah.
most of the time. And if I didn't strike out, I hit like a dribbler. But I was proud of myself. Okay, I was like, this is as good as it's gonna get." And I'm not mad at myself for failing. I mean, I did the best that I could.
Yeah.
I did the best that I could. And there's a lot of times where I've done the best that I could and it wasn't meant to work out, but it doesn't mean that I lost. I lost, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I only lose when I don't play the game, when
But
I
see,
think too much.
this is making me think about like professional basketball, and this is sort of going back to the validation, the external validation, right? In order to be considered a great, you got to get rings, you got to win championships, right?
Mhm.
So if you're somebody like Carmelo Anthony or you're somebody like Allen Iverson, right? You gotta, if you don't learn how to be okay with yourself inwardly, and
Mhm.
you're so focused on what they think about you, with the
Mhm.
media, I mean, especially in this era of social media, and the
Yeah.
commentary is everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't learn how to do that, it'll destroy you.
Yeah.
It'll destroy you. And so that not giving a fuck, in my mind, even when you said that, I was thinking, is really not giving a fuck about what they think,
Yeah.
they feel about my performance. It's
Yeah.
me being okay and knowing that
Yeah.
I did everything I could.
And and for more clarity and more truth, it did stem from me not giving a fuck about what my coaches do with me or think. Like my softball career did not pan out the way that I had anticipated.
Yeah,
With the coaches that I was under, and I love them. I'm not trying to slander my coaches, but
yeah, for sure.
sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that you expect. But I had my senior season. I was like, well, can't take a scholarship from me at this point, right? This is it. I made it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So F it,
yeah.
right? If you put me in the lineup, great. If you don't, great. I'm gonna chill on the bench. I'm gonna eat these snacks. I'm gonna ride it out.
Right, right,
Whatever. I don't care. I
right.
don't care. Um, yeah, it started with the coaches and not caring about people that we all care about. We all care about our coach's opinion of us
Yeah,
and what our coaches are going to do with us, and people of authority or people who we think have an authority, right? And again, you attract the things that you want. Like me going into that season, no, I wasn't a starter per se, but then so many people got hurt. And not saying that I wanted them to get hurt,
right.
but they did. And it got to a point where my coach had no choice but to put me in.
Right.
I and a lot of us that adopted that mindset that I had recruited to say, hey y'all, we're not giving a fuck this season. It's whatever it is. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
It worked out for them too.
yeah,
And so it's like we think that people have an authority over our lives and our success and what it is that we want to do. But in reality, if you have a belief in yourself and you stop worrying about what they think
yeah.
and you start playing your game, the cards will fall where they need to ensure that you are able to do
Hmm.
what you need to do
Yeah,
and what you would want to do.
yeah,
I was able to attract that stellar season
yeah,
um, because I just stopped giving a fuck.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. I would say that that could be a good lesson that you took from sports into creativity.
You're right. It took us a minute to get here, but you're absolutely
We
right.
here now. We here now.
We It is. That is the biggest. I would say that is the biggest lesson, and it's a lesson that I hadn't realized I was learning throughout my entire life.
Mm,
Right, even from I don't know, from the time I was 10. Right, coaches would be like, Morgan, you're way too tight when you're pitching. You
mm,
got it. You cannot be successful if you're not loose. If
yeah,
you try to do it, even if in whatever sport, if you're in basketball and you're like shot putting it up there, you're not. It's not going to be good. You've got to be loose with it, and you've got to allow yourself to be yourself.
yeah.
Um, and stop giving. And the only reason why you're tight is because you're giving a fuck.
Mhm.
Stop.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Trust it. Trust you, and know that it's all going to work out because you're you.
yeah,
Because you've done the work.
yeah,
Because you've done the things. I'm not saying go out there and just wing it, but you've done the work, and stop putting so much pressure to make other people happy on yourself.
yeah. And I mean, I think that's just an important distinction. It's not giving a fuck about what you're doing or the craft.
Mhm.
Again,
Mhm.
it's not in my mind what I'm interpreting as. It's not giving a fuck about all the other
Yeah.
thoughts and phrases and people talking about you and this, that, and the third. Like you said, I know I put the work in.
Yeah.
I know that I've done everything that I could to
Yeah.
be ready for this moment. And
Yeah.
so now I'm just going to trust the process. I'm going
Yeah.
to trust the work that I've already done.
Mhm.
And now I'm going to do it. When I went to the workshop that I was in, and I was just talking to people, and as I was talking to some of the teachers, they were telling me, like, they were asking me about some of my credits, like things that I've done.
Yeah.
So I didn't know he was the teacher at the time. So I was just saying the things that I've done. And so then he was like, "Oh, well, do you charge people to like read their scripts and like give consulting and feedback?" And I was like, "I mean, I don't really know if I'm, in that place to do that." And he was just like, "But you've been in writers' rooms, like you've done a lot more than
Most.
a lot of people."
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, hmm. But I'm sitting over here just like, I don't know if people are going to respect me because I've never written, in a Hollywood show, and
Yeah.
I've only written like 2 movies and a couple of pilots. Like, I still got more work I got to do. But
Yeah.
that's not about me and the preparation that I've done. It's about, are they going to accept me?
Yeah.
Are they going to respect? Are they
Yeah.
going to believe that I have the credentials? Right.
Yeah.
And now I left that workshop and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm about to put this out here. Maybe people won't sign up, but maybe they will.
Mm-hmm.
What if
Mm-hmm.
they do?
What
Right?
to do?
So, wow,
I still,
you
I
got me
still,
hyped right now.
good. I'm glad because I'm the hype girl, the doer of all the things. Hype is a part of it.
Let's go.
Um,
Let's go.
nah, I was just talking to my mom about this because she is my sounding board, whether she wants to be or not. But um, I realized, like, I think that this might be a sport thing too. Um, I think, oh, hey, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, Amy. I think that it might be a sports thing too. I found myself like, I do think that I have to prove things to people. There are still, I'm not perfect. There are a lot of times where I still feel like I've got to prove and I can now be undeniable because coaches have denied me. There have been a lot of people who have denied me and been able to say, oh, well, you haven't done this, that, and the third. So therefore, I have the ability to deny you.
Yeah.
And then I got to, and so especially being a Black girl in a very white sport at the time, because a lot more Black people are playing softball, which is great, and I love to see it. But at the time, I was typically the only little chocolate drop out there, right? And so I learned from a very young age, like, nah, you have to be undeniable.
Yeah.
And if you're not undeniable, then you are liable to be denied.
Wow.
And I had felt that, and I had seen that. I'd seen that with umpires. I'd seen that with coaches. And I was like, okay, I'm learning at this very young, malleable age that I have got to make sure that I'm undeniable in any way, shape, or form. I have
Wow.
to be exceptional. I have to be better than. That's why I got into that space of like comparing. I'm like, oh, well, if they've done this, that, and the third, then I got to do 5 more things.
Yeah.
So then you can't say that I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
And that's just also not very true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not very true because I'm also qualified just by my experiences.
Yeah.
The work of living
Yeah.
is a qualifier as well for anybody listening thinking like, well, am I doing the work?
Uh,
You've been doing the work of being yourself and learning who you are and growing and living, right? My life experiences are worth their weight in gold. Like it's just, yeah. So again, you are undeniable. There's this affirmation. I'm about to look it up that I say in the morning. I also do affirmations.
for sure.
I didn't say that earlier. Uh where is it? Um
Take your time. This isn't live. This is.
sorry. I'm gonna find it. Ask me another question, but I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find this affirmation. It's like 100 affirmations, and I kind of take my pick from it in the morning.
Oh, that's great. I need you to
Um,
send that to me for
I
sure.
will.
For sure. Well, I actually don't actually have any more questions. I have some like rapid fire questions that I like to wrap up with.
Okay, this is it,
Okay,
and
okay.
then we can go to rapid fire. I am proof enough of who I am and what I deserve.
Oh, say that again.
I am proof enough of who I am and what I deserve.
Hmm, that's tough right there.
Yeah, man.
And again, I just think it's just so we live in a world where we get bombarded with messages that that's just not true.
Right.
And it takes so much work to reverse to unlearn that, right? And to truly believe and know that I'm enough. And the other thing is, even in failure, like just because you
Hmm.
recognize you're enough and you recognize like that doesn't mean that you're never gonna not lose. You know what I'm saying? Like there are gonna
Right.
be times where you try to do something that don't work,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that you're not enough. That just means there's just more work to do, right? There's more of the process that you got to go through.
And even if it even does that mean that Rick Rubin said,
Okay.
what did he say
The,
down?
the,
He said,
the Gospel of Rick Rubin.
at this point, I feel like anytime we have any conversation, I just refer back to the book that I'm reading
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm not reading 4 in 6 days or 6 in 4. How many was it?
Yeah, it was like 6 and 4 days, something crazy like that.
Wild.
Four
Listen, I'm gonna
days. I
I'm gonna
don't know.
take my time through one, and I'm gonna just keep referring back to that one. Um, he said failure is the information needed to get where you're going. So is it even about like, oh, I just got to do more work? Nah. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I was just supposed to go in this direction.
Well,
And
that's the work to me. That the work is okay. I failed, so now let's pivot. Right? I tried this. Okay, let's make some adjustments. You know what I'm saying? No, you disagree?
I guess I look at it. I when I hear that, I saw it more of like if I was on a road, you know, um, and if I was on a road and maybe I either missed my turn or didn't make a turn or
Yeah.
there was something blocking my turn and I was like, oh, I guess I got to go straight, right?
Right.
Or vice versa. And me going straight meant that I was going to pass that watermelon stand, right? And I really needed to get the watermelon, but I wouldn't have if I had gone the other way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
And so I guess I don't look at that as work. I'm like, oh, actually this just afforded me a
Right.
different opportunity that led me. I'm still going to whatever destination or me realizing like the destination I was going to wasn't
Like this pathway was necessary, even though it was the wrong pathway.
It wasn't the way that I initially sought out,
Right,
or
right,
I
right.
failed to make that turn that I thought I was going to make, failed,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that led me to this other destination or this pit stop that was really important to me getting to that destination that I was always meant to get to.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
could have watermelon on the way instead of being hungry, you
Right,
know?
right, right. Yeah, that's great. I think the other thing I was thinking about too was um like the idea of, so like sometimes I talk to people and they'll say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next.
Mm,
And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And
mm,
then sometimes they'll say, well, I have a million things I want to do. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to try this, I want to do that. I'm like, okay, pick one and do it.
you
And
do it.
then you might say, I really hate this. Cool, that's good information. Let me
Yeah.
try the next thing.
Yeah.
Then you try that. I don't like this either. Cool. Go to the
Perfect.
next thing.
Awesome.
Try the third thing. Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Boom, you found it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's also what I was thinking about. I think there's multiple ways that you can, look at that. So
Yeah.
I think that's great. So yeah, this last segment that I like to do, I call it the one. And it's just 5 questions that I ask. They're like rapid fire questions.
Okay. So I gotta answer them fast.
Uh, no, there's no time limit.
Okay.
They're really just like one word answers when I ask, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But, I really don't want to ask this first one because I feel like we've already said it multiple times, but I'm gonna just ask it and we just go from there. So what's one book you feel everyone should read?
A big part of me wants to say a different book, but
If you have another one, that would be lovely.
um, right now I'm gonna say The Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
I'm gonna get this book actually. I'm certainly gonna get it.
Since I have been saying that book, can I say another one?
You
I'm gonna
should.
say The Alchemist.
Oh, that is a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. So Kia got me that book when we were dating.
Yeah.
Changed my life.
I was gonna say that. I feel like that was the nail in the coffin. That would have been. You were like, okay, I am in love with this woman.
So,
That did it. She knew the way in your heart. She
bought
was
me a
like,
book.
these other girls cooking? Nah, I'm gonna be in The Alchemist and
Bought me
watch
a book, yo. It's over with. It's over with.
That's funny.
Over with. Yep. But that is a great one. That is a great, like, if you haven't read it, it's like a parable. It's very good. It's a quick read too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to read it again. I need to read it again.
I wonder how it is listening to it too.
I actually listened to it.
Oh, you listened? Okay.
Yeah. Loved it.
That might be a good listen.
Loved it.
So what's one word that you would want your legacy to be described as?
One word. This is why I didn't do well on multiple choice tests. I majored in English so I could use more than one word.
You could go with a phrase if you would like.
No, I'm gonna stick with the rules.
You can do 6 words, 7 words. How many words you need?
Don't ask me that. No. I'm gonna say impactful.
What does that mean to you?
I think there's levels to impactful, and I want to be at the highest one. But it means like it means like there are like when I think about Bill Gates, when I think about Julius Caesar, when I think about Jeff Bezos, I think about impactful. Like you have impacted society as a whole. You've impacted our way of life. You've impacted millions upon millions of people. Um, you know, hell, I mean, but I could also, I'm also going to say that about, a Jay-Z. I'm going to say that about Beyonce. I can say that about so many people, William Shakespeare, artists and leaders and innovators. They impact society in a way that they it, society cannot go back. And so, yeah, I think of impactful in a way where I want to um, impact people's hearts in a way that they cannot go back.
Mm-hmm. That's tough right there. I got more questions, but I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. That was great. Um, you said impactful in a way that they cannot go back. That's tough. Um, is there one thing that you would want to change about your creative journey?
Um, no.
No, that's a good answer. One piece of advice that you would want to tell your younger self. This don't got to be one word. This could be a whole.
Girl, don't give a fuck.
Yes, the gaff.
The
Let's go.
gap, girl.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Um, what's one thing that you would want everyone that sees this or hears this to know? This also doesn't have to be one word.
That you are proof enough
Mm,
of who you are and what you deserve.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, you can do anything, man.
Yeah.
People out here doing whatever the hell they want to do.
Yeah.
And you might be stuck thinking that you have to create based on parameters or in this defined space
Yeah.
or prove something to someone else or do things for the validation of others. Um, when in reality, like the world is really seeking and longing for your authentic self
Yeah.
and your perspective of things without any regard to what anybody else thinks or feels or desires.
Yeah.
Your desires are valid enough.
That's great. Um, so before we get out of here, this has been incredible. You know how our conversations are, they're always great. What are there any things that you want to plug, any links you want to plug, any things you have coming up that you want to tell people about? Um, now's the time if you want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, go to my Instagram. I'll be posting videos. Um, I really am about to be playing a game with Sportswomen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sportswoman.co will be up very soon. You can also learn more about me on morganbullock.com.
Mhm.
And yeah, I coach, like I said, I coach female athletes and high achieving women. And if you're in a space where you're just like needing someone to creatively get in that ass about but like I do it in a gentle way, like I used to actually like coach young girls and I was never that coach that yelled. I was just like strategically like, let's think about this. Was that the best play to make?
Playing the hell out of them.
Right.
Was that
So,
smart?
was that smart? And it's like, Morgan, we don't have time for this. And so yeah, I was like, let's move to mindset. So yeah, I'm available for that and doing a lot of things. Things that are coming up are this baby, you know.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, yeah. I feel you. I feel you.
Do you?
No,
As much as you can.
as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, I'm beyond excited and excited for not just this human baby, but the baby that I've been
For sure.
overthinking and I'm about to put into the world. So,
For sure.
yeah.
Well, everybody, all of the links she just mentioned are scrolling at the bottom. They've been scrolling the whole time. So there's her Instagram at Morgan Bullock. There's morganbullock.com. There's sportswomen.co. Definitely check out everything that she has going on. Morgan, I appreciate you coming on tonight, kicking it with me for a little bit. And I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate your spirit. I appreciate your energy. And I just appreciate, the conversations and the wisdom that you share with me. So
Thank you.
yeah, with that,
I enjoy conversations as well. Thank you for having me on.
absolutely.
It's been fun. I anticipated it being a fun time. You asking me questions that make me think, which is also just always great. So,
Yes. Well, thank you everybody who tuned in and is kicking it with us. We are going to call it a night.
bye.
Oh, we love you too, Amy. I didn't even see this.
Oh,
Amy said, well, she didn't say she loved me. She said she loved you. So
yeah, it's okay.
it's all good.
She loves you for putting me on, but
Right.
yes, we
But
love you.
yes. With that being said, we are going to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, like this, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody, and we're going to get out of here. The last thing that I'll say is that I love you and have a great night. Peace.
Bye.